Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Islamic podcast. Recently, I watched a debate between Andrew Tate and Piers Morgan.
Firstly, I am Andrew Tate, Lord of all beasts of the land and fishes in the sea. I know everything.
Almost everything you said in that video was completely untrue. Why did you race to spread such woeful disinformation?
I do what I want.
In that discussion, basically they talked about the UK riot.
You know what I mean? We're not racist. They're talking absolute crap. And he's a Muslim. Why have we got Muslims in a Christian country?
We will take Jerusalem.
So basically what happened is that there was a very tragic stabbings that took place where a 17-year-old guy went to a children's dancing class and started stabbing kids. Obviously this is a disgusting situation, but after that a bunch of right-wing figures started lying and spreading misinformation that the guy who stabbed the girls was actually a Muslim. However, this was false. The guy was actually a Christian. These Islamophobes, right-wing thugs, followers of Tommy Robinson, they came out on the street and they started destroying Muslim shops. They started attacking Muslims, and it was a very chaotic situation. Andrew Tate, unfortunately, came out also and started actually defending the racist Islamophobe instead of defending the Muslims. And because of that, he is facing a lot of criticism from the Muslim community. So basically, he went to Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan basically pressed him on this. And I have to say that I was very disappointed on some of the things he said.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy this, not join them!
The Matrix has attacked me.
But regardless, let's see what he said, and I'll make my response. Sure.
Undocumented migrant decided to go to a Taylor Swift dance class today and stab 6 little girls. Sorry, somebody arrived in the UK on a boat. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody knows where he's from. The media is, of course, hiding the fact that this is a 17-year-old male. They don't want to highlight how ridiculous he is, and they allow military-age males, combatants, to flood our shores. I don't see any protests in the UK. I don't see anybody complaining. Nobody's outside of the school. Nobody's outside the police station. The soul of the Western man is so broken that when the invaders slaughter your daughters, you do absolutely fucking nothing.
The bottom line, Andrew, is that almost everything you said in that video was completely untrue, and yet it was apparently seized upon online, spread wide and far, and made people believe what you were saying. So my question for you off the top here is, why did you race to spread such woeful disinformation, given the massive following you have, and encourage people to take action against a caricature and description of who had perpetrated this, which was simply untrue?
I think the only thing I said that was untrue is that perhaps he was undocumented. It was a 17-year-old male. It was a migrant. He did kill little girls. And advocating for people to stand outside and make it clear that they're unhappy with what happened is not a dangerous ideology. We live in a democracy where we have the right to protest and the right to make it clear when our voices are not heard. I recently protested against the Olympic ceremony outside the French embassy. I'm not sure if you saw it, complaining about how they depicted Jesus Christ, because I was unhappy with what I saw. And I think that when people feel like they have a voice, they're not likely to get violent. And the problem we have now is that people do not have a voice, which is why we're seeing rioting, which is why we're seeing looting, because people do not feel like there's a political solution any longer. And what I was trying to do is encourage people to stand up and make their voice heard in a peaceful way to avoid violence. Because when people would feel like they're not heard, violence is always the end result.
First of all, Andrew, no one has an issue with you telling people to protest these disgusting murders. That's not the problem here. The problem here is that you lied about the incident. And that is the issue. And that is what Piers Morgan pressed him on. But instead of answering him and taking responsibility, he instead is like,
I just spread a little bit of misinformation, and all I'm doing is I'm just telling people to protest.
no, that's not the issue. Like, you can't go around and lie to people. Because that's exactly what you did. You lied to people. You're simply asking him, why did he spread misinformation? And he can't answer the question. And he's acting as if like it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal. Because a lot of these people that came out actually came out because they thought that the attacker was Muslim.
I'm here to save the kids. The children have been murdered. There's been a massacre on the street.
They got the targeting little white girls all over the country.
It's like Russian roulette at this point. Which one's going to be next? We're saving the kids.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
We're stopping the boats.
Because some of these people are racist. They're Islamophobe. They don't know any better. He contributed to this problem of misinformation. Here's what he could have said. He could have said, okay, you know what? You're right. I shouldn't have said this without verifying this information. That was wrong of me. I shouldn't have done that. But instead, he doubles down and he says that, only 5% of it was wrong. He was still a migrant, which, by the way, is false. He was not a migrant. He was a British citizen. For example, in Washington Post, they said the following. Because of the suspect's age, his name has not been released by authorities, but he was born in Britain, in Cardiff, Wales. Police stressed that he had been living in the nearby community of Banks. The BBC and Financial Times reported that his parents were originally from Rwanda. They are British citizens. So he's like a second generation British citizen. He was out there protesting the Olympics because they depicted Jesus, in a negative way. which is a good thing. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the problem here is that if he's such a humanitarian, then how come he never raised his voice for Muslims in the UK who often face violent Islamophobia and hate crime? Why doesn't he ever raise his voice for them? According to Statista, Muslims in the UK last year faced nearly 3,400 hate crimes. How come you never raised your voice against this? Now, of course, like I don't have an issue with Muslims raising their voice for Jesus. Of course, you should do that. But the problem is, like, why are you only trying to help the Christians and completely ignoring the problems that are being faced by Muslims?
But you've actually had the complete opposite effect, and you know the massive following that you have and the influence that you can wield. And by spreading, I mean, again, you've repeated the fact this kid who has obviously now been charged with very serious crimes, including killing these 3 girls, was a migrant. He wasn't a migrant. He was born in Wales. His parents were legal immigrants from Rwanda. So he's not a migrant. He's somebody born in Wales, born in the United Kingdom.
Well, first things first, it's unfair for you to say that I've had an opposite effect. What I did was point out the facts of the situation that a 17-year-old male killed little girls. If I point out the facts of the situation that the sky is blue, and then people go and decide to riot because I said those things, does not mean those things are not true. That's the first thing. Secondly, here's where we have the dichotomy of the UK, and I actually think this conversation is one of the most important and potent conversations of modern times, especially as this issue is not going to be solved anytime soon, Piers. The problem we have now in the UK is that we have a certain subsect of the population who believe because he was born in Cardiff, he is a Welsh man. And we have another subsect of the population who believe that even if he was born in Cardiff, he is not Welsh. But we have a problem because you now have you have a dichotomy of ideas, you have 2 different camps, and the camp that believe that this person perhaps isn't even Welsh in the first place are also the camp which are being suppressed and not allowed to speak.
I love how he's saying, like,
you cannot suppress these poor people who
wants an ethno-state. This fascist, you cannot, this poor fascist, you cannot suppress them. Like, what are you talking about? These people literally wants an ethno-state. Like, what are you talking about? Do you know nothing about, like, Tommy Robinson? Do you not know what he stands for? He is a white supremacist, my guy. These are not like random innocent people protesting for, like, equal rights. These are fascists. They want to kick Muslims out. And he said that, just because I spread misinformation and a bunch of people went out there and like did some crimes, that has nothing to do with me. Sure, that has nothing to do with you. Unless those people did those crimes because of the misinformation. Then you do have to take responsibility.
This is a fail of the politicians. This is a failure of the leaders. It is the job of a leader to inspire all of the people to have trust in him, not just some of the people, not just the people he likes, not just the people on his party or the people he wants. It is his job as a leader to have every single person in the country believe that he cares about the issue and he's doing something actively to fix it. Instead, what Keir did was stand up and do the absolute opposite. Shut down any legitimate concerns, tell people they don't have a voice, tell people nothing's going to change, is going to stay exactly the way it is.
So the UK president should allow terrorism? Is that what he's saying? I mean, like, literally like, the UK president, instead of listening to them, instead of like leaving their concern, they're just shutting them down. Again, he's committing the straw man argument fallacy. That's not the reason they're being shut down. The reason they're being shut down is because they're literally trying to burn down mosques, burn down buildings. They're committing acts of terror. Okay, that's why they're being shut down. Not because they're protesting. Criminals, they're literally stealing things from shops, destroying properties, attacking people on the street, burning houses, threatening lives of people. So of course the government is going to put their foot down. Like, the thing is that, recently in Bangladesh, we had a situation where basically a lot of the students protested against a fascist government that we had for 15 years. And basically she escaped the country. It was uprising. And so basically what happened in this situation is that in my country, students started peaceful protests where they're basically demanding that the quota system be reformed. But instead of listening to the students, the cops basically started shooting at them and beating them up. Now, this is an actual case of police brutality, right? This is where the police and the government are actually wrong. However, here, in the situation in the UK is actually the opposite. But what's happening in the UK is that these people are actually coming out, they're attacking random people, they're attacking the mosques, they're setting things on fire, and the cops are trying to stop them, and then they're attacking the cops. Here, the so-called protesters or terrorists are actually the criminals. But in my country, the police are actually the criminals. I'm saying this because a lot of people sometimes make this equivocation, that the protest in Bangladesh and the protest in the UK was the same thing. No, it's not. It's not remotely the same. In Bangladesh, we protested to get rid of fascism. In the UK, you protested to establish fascism. Okay? That's the difference.
Not everybody involved in all these protests is a far-right thug. Some of them will be ordinary members of the public trying to legitimately protest peacefully. I completely accept it. But the ones who were leading it, who were committing the acts of violence and making the threats against the Muslim community, were doing so because they had been completely misled about who had done this. It was not a Muslim. It was not an illegal immigrant. It was not somebody on the MI6 watch list. It was none of those things. Now, you posted on July the 30th, the day after the killing, and I feel particularly incensed, by the way, that the deaths of these 3 young girls have been hijacked in such a reprehensible manner to attack Muslims when a Muslim had nothing to do with it, right? You put this on July the 30th, you posted a picture saying, this is the man from Cardiff. We're looking at this picture now. The murder of the little girl, straight off a boat, you said. Really? He wasn't straight off a boat, because this wasn't the person who perpetrated the crimes. You got 4.3 million views for this. And a community notes clarified, this is not the man that killed, attacked the children and adults in Southport. This image is of Kasonga Mabulu, who was arrested in Ireland in 2023 for a random knife attack at Dublin Airport. So again, 24 hours later, you're posting more.
Okay.
You're posting more. No, you're
my
posting complete
apologies.
disinformation.
I'm sorry,
it's not okay.
sir.
It's not okay.
No,
it was not the man.
Did I get the wrong stabber? Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, you did.
Piers Morgan, of
Yeah,
course.
you
I got
did.
the wrong
Yeah,
stabber.
you did.
And he certainly looked very Welsh to me. Let me make this clear. I'm a Muslim, and I think anybody who attacked a mosque is going to have to deal with God. I'm not worried about the full force of the law. They should worry about God itself.
You got the wrong stabber, but that's not the point. The point is, you clearly have a bias in favor of this racist, white supremacist, fascist. That's the problem. And that is extremely problematic. Because the thing is that it seems like you don't really have any loyalty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the Muslim community or the Ummah. That's disturbing. Because the thing is that one of the conditions of being a Muslim is that you think of other Muslims as brothers, your own brothers. Like think of your own brother. Like think of us like you think of Tristan, your brother. Right? If your brother is being attacked, what do? You just stand there and like not do anything? Like is that how you respond? Like if someone is accusing your brother of being a stabber, would you be okay with that? No, right? Like of course not. Especially if it's been done unfairly and your brother is actually not the stabber. Then the same thing here. Here you're accusing other Muslims or like other migrants of being an attacker when in reality they're not an attacker. Like you put the picture of a random black person as if like white persons don't go around stabbing people.
I also want to make something very clear to all the people at home and clear to you that most of the white people are very frustrated and they're finding an enemy amongst themselves to take it out on. I think that the white people on these streets have a lot more in common with the brown people on these streets than they do with the politicians, because that's the problem we have here. Keir did not just only say they're going to face the full force of the law. He told everybody with a point of view, everybody who's concerned about the safety of their children, that they are extremists.
Sure, a lot of people in these protests were peaceful, but the reason why the UK government started calling some of these people extremists is because some of these people were extremists. Shocking, I know. Like if you have a movement and on that movement, some people believe that other race of people shouldn't exist in your country and they're burning buildings, then yeah, I think you're an extremist. Like that's not like a controversial statement. Like these people are extremists. And if this was the case, then like these people were actually not extremists and they're just simply protesting for like jobs or whatever, and they're doing peaceful protest and they were not harming anybody, that would be completely fine. As a matter of fact, most Muslims would actually join with them, right? But that's not what they're doing. Instead, they're taking out the anger on people who have nothing to do with like this problem. Instead of attacking the government, they're attacking people who just have nothing to do with this.
So you've also been spewing stuff that is blatantly racist. On the 1st of August, you posted a cartoon saying typical man from Cardiff. Let's look at that cartoon. This has had 11 million views.
Yeah, it's a taxpayer. It's a migrant arriving on the boat with taxpayers' money, and I think a lot of people are upset about that. I want to make something clear because I'm a Muslim myself.
When you say typical man from Cardiff,
when you say
typical man from Cardiff, you are again telling people that in your estimation, the person that committed this came in as an illegal migrant on a boat. That is not true.
And the funny thing is that this is incredibly racist. The picture he showed, it is racist. Because, I mean, like, he's implying that mostly the people that comes in these little boats, they're just like these black people and they're just stealing your taxpayers' money. As a matter of fact, the taxpayer money that is being spent on these immigrants, they actually spend that money back. Okay, they come to their shores, they get a job or start a small business that they invest back into your country. But that helps your economy. So this is an investment. This is not charity. The migrants are not looking for your charity. Okay, they're simply looking for a place to stay. If you allow them to stay, they will pay you back. This is a business transaction. And also, most of these people are like, they're not paying taxes. Like, did you see the interviews of these people? like some of these people, I saw some of these interviews, right? And I find this so hilarious because a lot of these people, when they're like speaking, like most of them don't have any teeth. Like, why is it that...
Stop the boats, kick them out, there's too many here. And we supposed to stand here and let everybody call us right-wing and Nazis.
don't have any teeth in this protest. Like, what? Like, seriously, just take a look at some of this clip. And I don't know why that is. I think, you know what I think? I think some of this, like, they basically go into the bar and they drink a lot and they get into bar fights and basically they get their teeth knocked out sometimes, and that's why a lot of them don't have any teeth. And these are the people that are going out there and, you know, protest. Another reason this picture he shared is wrong is that a lot of the crimes in the UK are actually not done by black people. They're actually, the majority of crimes are actually done by white people. For example, according to a research done by the Ministry of Justice in UK, it says the following. In 2022, 77% of all males prosecuted for indictable offenses were from the white ethnic group compared to 86% of all female prosecutors. So nearly 77% of all crimes are done by white people. So majority of criminals in our country are still white people. So why are you showing a picture of a black person with a knife coming onto your shores? But this is, you're creating a negative stereotype about migrants, which is completely unnecessary. Look, one of the main virtues of our religion is that you're not supposed to do something or say something that will hurt other people. The things you're saying are actually very hurtful to a lot of Muslims, a lot of black people, a lot of women, right? So you need to be careful on the way you speak. Now, it's completely fine when you're debating with like feminists or like, you know, it's kind of like racist, Zionist, to be a little off the hook. But when you're talking about, you know, like this kind of like migrants, because migrants a lot of times, they're there simply to look for a job, look for opportunities, because they don't have any other options. They're not there to eat people, right? And they're not the reason why white people don't have a job. White people don't have a job because, frankly, a lot of them are not getting the education they need or the opportunities they need, right? So focus on that. Focus on pressure the government to create more jobs for these people. But don't like create this discord between Muslims and like the Christians in UK. That doesn't help anybody. And in your attempt to quote unquote build bridges, you're actually demonizing Muslim migrants and uplifting like Christian fascists, which is ridiculous. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, and if you want to support me, you can support me by becoming a patron or becoming a YouTube member. If you do that, then you can help me get a better camera, buy more books so I can do research and make more excellent videos for you guys with more references and interesting facts. But I need funds for that, so if you would be kind enough to help me on this channel, I'll really be grateful. But yeah, with this, I want to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Assalamualaikum.